All righty. Good morning, everyone. Let's find ourselves some decent music. Good morning, Chuan. Good to see you. This evening. Yeah, all of my fellow travelers on spaceship Earth. Welcome to spaceship Earth. All right. Let's see what kind of trouble we've gotten into this morning. Alrighty. I like it when people reply to things on my stream and then they're like, they don't know the joke. Alrighty. It takes a lot of effort to do a comic, so this is a long process of a lot of things to do. And so making a comic takes some time. This morning I have coffee. I haven't had coffee in a long time. I just felt like coffee this morning. Good morning, Donald. Oh, hey! New wheelchair is always a plus. Chuan? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. You're saying it's 10 at night there, yeah? Because if it's really 10 a.m., then you are only an hour ahead of me. That puts you in Central Time Zone. Hey, Donald. How you doing, bro? You also are a traveler with me on spaceship Earth. But you got wheels. Oh, that's fair. Wheels are cool. I like wheels. That makes total sense. Oh, that sucks. So we had a whole crew of people go do work for Nandaskan, and they all got food poisoning while going there. Like a whole bunch of them. And since my friends I've got like so many of us work Nandaskan that like I have close, dear buddies who are in Nandaskan, and then I've got like you know how you have friends in sort of rings. There's some people who you know them sort of because you've known them for 20 years, but you just really don't talk very much except at say Nandaskan, and like all of these rings of things, and it's like it's so interesting because it's like yeah, Chuan, I did a stream about 9 hours ago. Really? That's this Panda Express. They've been having problems over there because we've gone a couple of times because that's right by my house. So, I mean, like, that's walking distance from my house. So, yeah, that's our Panda Express, if you will. And if it's made you sick, then I'm gonna kind of steer clear. I don't want Montezuma's revenge. Yeah, Chuan, yeah. So I broadcast twice a day on weekdays, 2 times. Once in the morning, like now, and once at night, about the same time at night. Little later. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Go do so. I have coffee this morning. Coffee, and I'm not afraid to use it. Today, I'm going to bring up the car thing, and we're going to figure out how to make my car work. All right. So this is my car. I don't need to worry about the UV maps. What we're going to try to do today is make a skeleton and linkages that work properly in here. So we need to kind of take my already existing car here, and we need to make bones first. So we'll do the bones first, and then we'll add a skeleton inside there. And then when we make the skeleton, we're going to try to make the skeleton work so that it's pulled by an invisible thing. That's always fair. Alfie has the same problem. You see, sometimes we have Alfie on here, Chuan. And Alfie is in Australia and has the same problem. They have to go to school, and apparently our morning stream, this one, is right at the end of the school day for them. So they can join. No, it's the other one. It's the night stream. The night stream is right at the end of the school day for them. So they join us usually right at the end of the show every day, which is fine. You know, all of you guys need to go to school. I'm a teacher, so I am definitely all for you guys going to school. Stay in school, do your school stuff, because that's what I like, is like, I want you guys to all have school stuff. It's good for you. All right. So moving right along with this guy here, we don't really need this. We need bones. So we're going to have to go over here and hang out in the bones section. Which one of these? Maybe animation? We'll have to start doing stuff in animation mode here, because I want to start making it so that this is viewable, operable. Right, like if we do viewport shading. But I have never done bones before, so this is going to be an experiment today. You get to join me as I find out how to do bones and joints. Okay. We switch to edit mode, it says. So we're in edit mode. I don't think we need to be in animation. I think we need to be in modeling. And perhaps what we will do is, so it says Shift A. I don't see a bone in here, folks. This is a mesh add. Okay, well, so the first thing it tells me to do, I can't do. Oh boy. Yes. No, I'm a teacher. You didn't hear that wrong. Yeah, that's correct. I'm glad. I taught English as a second language. So, like for you, Vietnamese is your first language, and English is your second language. For me, English is my first language, and Japanese is my second language. And I taught English at Sashima Junior High, which is in Ibaraki Prefecture, Japan. Now I teach driving here. That's the difference. All right. Now we still have to figure out how to put a bone in. Add a bone? So I keep talking about bones, and I am talking about the same thing that you see, same thing in the as we have in our body, but for a mesh, you need to make a bone. And so I need to figure out how to make bones. Oh my goodness. No, your website requires a lot. You need to switch to edit mode and select the armature object. I don't think that's the actual body of the vehicle. There. No? I did it wrong. I don't want Blender over there. I want a Blender here. I'm still having problems with Windows 11 being Windows 11. There we go. You can call me teacher. Hey, Booma. You may call me sensei if you want. It's a joke that they made in Japan all the time, was Gai Sensei. Because Gai Sensei is a character in Naruto. And so they liked calling me Gai Sensei. But I also respond to Gai Sensei. How are you doing, Booma? Haven't seen you in a long time. Hope you're okay over there. I still have an outstanding thing for you, Booma. I still need to do the thing where I get you some money. I'm having a hard time remembering things right now, Booma. Forgive me. Okay. I did. Now you can just be you. I'm putting that into Ohio. My to-do list. Indicate. There, I've added that to my to-do list. That's part of the reason I'm having problems. Oh, I'm so sorry, man. They never get better. I wish they would, but they don't. They never get better. It's just always I mean, you get used to the pain after a while, but it never gets better. And that's such a bummer. It's not layout, is it? Is it layout? Is it layout? Okay, there's nothing in here except these vertex groups, and I think it's probably... Thank you very much, John. I'm glad you think so. You see, you still didn't help me any. Don't ever do that. That won't ever help you, Booma. In this world, there's no way to confidently and correctly ever answer all of the questions. So there's no way to be perfect in life. We can't be perfect. We'll all make mistakes. I consider myself relatively lucky. The last time I talked to my mom, I did not fight with her. But I call that a win. You know what I mean? My dad went slowly, and since it took him time, he actually, the last time I was with him, he said, okay, let's talk this out. Don't, let's get everything that needs to be said so you don't have anything left in your world that you need to work with. And the saddest part about that was Dad saying that, I couldn't think of anything. There was nothing that I felt like I needed to say to my dad, except that I was really sorry I was a jerk to him when I was 14. And you know what my dad said? He said, I don't remember that. So clearly it wasn't his problem. He was like, I don't remember you being a jerk to me when you were 14. I don't know. This is really funny. So I don't think your brother had the same feelings about it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't get along with my dad's girlfriend. After my mom and dad divorced, my dad had a girlfriend. And this is the 80s and the 90s. This is a long time ago. And I was 14, 15, and I hated her and she hated me. And we both hated each other, right? And so I was like, Dad, I'm sorry. I made your life miserable because of her. And he started laughing and he goes, you know what? You were both acting like kids, but one of you really was one. That's why I left her. And I was like, aw. So you never know, you know? You never know what the story was, right? And so that's still one of my favorite sort of, you're in that last bit of life there, and he's trying to figure out how to make it all work. And it's just particularly funny because he didn't remember me being a jerk to him. He didn't remember it at all. All he remembered were all the good times that we had together. You know what I mean? And that's fine. So I don't think it's a problem. I wouldn't worry about it. If your brother were here and you could ask him, he'd probably say the same thing Dad did, which was, I don't remember that. I mean, certainly, think about your relationship with me. Were there times that you were like, ooh, I wish I had never done that with Guy, because I'm like, I don't remember anything bad about you. So, like, there's nothing. You were awesome every time I had you in my world. We all think too much about the way we are. We all think a little bit too much about the way we are, you know? Yeah. That's why I'm here every day. For you, for Chuan, for all of the people in the group, all of us that are here online. This is a safe space, right? We're safe here. You're safe being whoever you are. Be whatever person you are. It is fine. Unless you like Star Wars a little bit more than Star Trek, then it gets questionable. Just saying. I don't make the rules. I was talking to a friend of mine. Thank you, John. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was talking about sort of the character that we make of people, you know, like the funny jokes that we make. One of my funny jokes is that, you know, I don't like people who like Star Wars more than Star Trek. It's not true. It's not real, but it's sort of like a joke, you know. Oh, don't tell Guy that you like Star Wars more than Star Trek. You know, it's not real because I actually don't mind, but it makes it sort of easier to be friendly. You know, because it's like, you know, you can make jokes like that, and oh, I'm sorry, Guy. Turns out I'm more of a Star Wars fan. You know. Hey, Jung, how are you doing? You're a gator. Still trying to figure out how to make a bone. Haven't started a bone yet. And I'm wondering if it's probably because I made vertex groups, but they're no longer, I merged the object together. Oh, watching with a migraine. Hey, Merrick. I'm sorry, dude. Welcome back. I'll try not to... Yeah, right. I'm having a great day so far. George is right here, sitting at the door, looking outside, watching for birds, which is George's primary job, apparently. Actually, George has a very important job. He catches bugs. Don't you? You catch bugs, don't you? Yeah, you do. You're a bug catcher. I hate bugs. I do not like bugs at all. And so, kind of like it when George catches bugs, you know? Okay. There are things that I need to figure out with this. Like, for one, I need to put a null object right about here. And that null object will be an item that I can pull the car around on. And that way I can make the car go around a path like a corner, and the wheels will turn around the corner and the car may lean. That'd be really nice. That's my plan. So we'll see what happens. But I think I need to break this car up into all of its little pieces. So, because I think part of our problem is that somehow I made all of these things a vertex group, but I didn't actually make it a separate piece. I'm trying to decide if I need to just remodel all of those pieces under there or not. So my thought is that future work with this, Daz does not do a very good job of animating. It takes too long to make animations that involve cars turning and things like that. And so I'm thinking of making it so that I can make the car turn and stuff like that. So I'm kind of thinking of back early days, in my very, very early days, when I'm talking about not early days, I'm like the early 2000s. It was like 2000 or 2001, maybe 2002. I was part of a Lego group, and we built with Mindstorms, and I loved that. And we did. You had to program the Mindstorms. You had to make the Mindstorms run. They had to run correctly and do the right thing. And like we'd have them fight in an arena, and we made this arena with, it was all black with a white ring around the outside, so you could use a eye sensor, a detecting sensor, so that it could see the color on the platform. And I just kept making, I made the end all be all vehicle. It had simple programming because I couldn't program, and it was devastating. It was so funny, because it was, I had little wheels and then big wheels, right? So once it hit another robot, it would hinge up like this, which put the big wheels on the ground instead of the little wheels. So it'd run around on the little wheels, just going to the edge. And anytime it found the edge, it would stop and then come back and then turn another direction at random. It didn't matter which way it went. And then when it found the other robot, it would strike the other robot, and then on hinges, it would hinge up like this, which put these really big, heavy traction wheels on the ground. And the wheels then were geared down. So as soon as that happened, the big wheels were turning at like a third of the speed of the little wheels. So it'd go around really fast in these little wheels, and then when it would go up, it drops the big wheels down, the little wheels came up. And the big wheels would then start really pushing and just push the other robot off the tournament area. And it was particularly funny because one of the other guys that was there was one of those programmer people, and he built this elaborate program. And my bot beat his all the time because there was just nothing they could do over the engineering of putting the bigger wheels on the ground. So engineering beat programming. Just saying. It was pretty funny. I was impressed. I get a kick out of that stuff. That was some fun stuff, man. Mindstorms was a riot. It was good. Good stuff. Right, George? Yeah. Would you like scritches? You could stay there. You don't have to get moving. Yeah, you're a sculptor, Lego sculptor. That's one of the things you do. I mean that in a nice way, not a bad way in any way, of course. But you're one of those people who likes to build the actual vehicle looking like the vehicle. My robots were brutal. Like, they weren't pretty at all. Colors didn't match. You know, nothing. It wasn't built after anything. I just built for pure engineering. It was ugly as sin, which was funny because I'm known as the artist in the group. So every time my things are ugly, people are like, "Why are your things ugly?" It's very funny. I know that I'm kind of sitting here and you're like, "You're not doing the things you're supposed to be doing." And actually I am. I've been thinking a little bit about this and going, because I'm thinking I want to build a different type of front suspension for this vehicle. Speaking of doing things in a way. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to take each one of these and I'm going to select it like this and then delete them. And you're going to go, why? Well, because I'm actually going to, whoa. Okay. I'm going to take this guy. See, it's connected here. So what I'm actually going to do is not that. I'm going to take you, you. Oh, man. So there's no way to actually select these. So we'll go to here, select, headlights, select, steering wheel, select, suspension, select. And that should give me everything. Select, you, select, you, select. Okay. And I should be able to just pull these pieces out like so, right? And now that those pieces are separated from the body, we can move them over here and work on them separately. And I think that's part of our problem. I'm going to redo the suspension because I think what I really want to do, go to the top of this. Before it decides to do something stupid, let's save as. And we'll call this one car 2 blender mode. Because that way we'll know what this one's called. This is the blender mode version of it. And hopefully by the end of the stream, I will have figured out how to make it so that I have a null object in the front. A null means nothing. So N-U-L-L, that means nothing. So it means no. So there's nothing there. So I want to make a null object because the null object then would have nothing. It wouldn't be a real object. You couldn't see it. But I should be able to tell Blender to grab it. And if so, I'm hoping to make a null object that turns the wheels and then pulls the car. And since you won't see it, it'll look like the car is driving itself. But in really, I'll be pulling this null object around and make it go around a track. And then it should look like the car is driving by itself. So that's the plan here, is to make a null object to run these. So because of that, I'm going to make a new wheel, new tires, new wheels, so that we can make them look a little bit better. For one, it's kind of hard to make these wheels look realistic in some way, but I kind of want them to because I need to talk about wheels. When you drive, the tires are the most important piece of the car because the 4 tires are all that's touching the ground. The rest of your car doesn't touch the ground, theoretically. So I need to make better tires for this vehicle so that we can talk about them if I need to illustrate with them. So I'm going to go into, maybe modeling. I'll make a new thing. Mesh. Some of this stuff is so difficult for me to remember how I want to do it, you know? We'll go to object mode and we'll add a force field. I'll check it out. All the things we can do. We can vortex. That seems bad. Can I add a circle? Or does it just say that you've added a circle? Good job. Congratulations. Where's my circle? I need to move the car. Move the car here because there's my circle. I'm like, where's my circle? All right. Here's our circle. And this is going to be, we're going to go into edit mode. And what we now have is curve control. So this is giving us control of the curve. So I can take in this edit mode and grab this NURB and bring it in like so. Right? And then I can grab this NURB and bring it in like so. Right? And so we can extend, grab the handle. How do I grab that handle? There we go. And bring the handle all the way up like so. Right? And take this handle and bring it all the way up as well. Do the same thing. Well, there we go. And this is where we're going to start doing the magical stuff here in a second. Because essentially what we're doing is kind of making that happen like that. I'm going to take this curve. Now we're going to select the whole thing, and then we're going to move him up here. Okay? Like so. Maybe there, here-ish, right? So if I add the modifier just to see what happens on this one, and we do what we call screw, right? You can do that. And now we have a tire that looks like that. See, that's how you run these all the way around. Haven't finished the car yet. We're still working on the car. And the drawing about what? What would you like me to draw? Do you need help on something? I'm willing to help. So we add more to it so it looks round. There we go. So we take stuff like that. That's how we do this, is we take this modifier and we add it, right? And that will make a tire. But we're not ready yet because we need to put the hub in and the center part of the wheel and yada, 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 and yada, 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 right? So while we're still in edit mode, we can add to this. Yep, I'm trying to figure out how to put wheels in here. So can I extrude? And what will happen if I extrude? I get a bizarre figure 8. That's very strange. Did not expect that. I have to admit. So what if I just said we add a path? Like so. Not at the top. I am not at the top. There we go. I'm not sure what this curve is inside here. Like, is that part of the path or is it not? Yeah, see, I don't know if I'm making this work right or not. Well, let's see. Now, if I take all of this and do the... Yeah, actually not bad. And I feel like it didn't do that quite as sharp as I wanted it, but I don't think I care that much. That looks pretty solid. It is definitely... looks like a wheel with a wheel inside it. So that's definitely the pattern I want to do. I feel like it's a little too soft. Maybe. Can I make it sharper? Yikes. I want you to be poly, but I don't want the wheels to be poly. Right, because this changes my segment. Recalculate handles. It sounds really cool. Wow. What are you doing? My microphone slowly creeps away. Hang on. There. Set spline type to poly. There we go. That's what we want. Now if we put this in here. At least it looks more specifically sharp. It smoothed it a little bit, but it's not as bad. Okay, better. So, Tuan, I actually have been doing I've been doing animations for my driving school. And in those animations, I have been trying to teach good ways to drive. So I've been doing that quite a bit. And it's one of those things that I called my driving school and said, is it okay for me to make YouTube videos on good driving practices and maybe even like historically interesting facts about driving? Because it's interesting to me that is, there's some fascinating things that I have learned about driving over the years. Things like there was a convention in Geneva in the 60s where we talked about good driving practices and kind of having everybody in the world use the same patterns, which is why when you're in Vietnam, you can still see a red light means red and a green light, or a red light means stop and a green light means go. And that's the same in America, and it's the same in Japan, and it's the same in Russia, and it's the same everywhere. Anybody could have chosen any color, right? You could have done blue light means go and purple light means stop. But we have all used the same colors, and that's because there were two conventions in the 30s and in the 60s, 1930s and the 1960s, where we changed those rules and we decided on those rules. We decided it as a governing body. The 60s one was a little different because Russia wasn't helping a lot in the 60s. So some of the rules are the 30s rules, and only Russia follows those rules. But it's interesting because I'm fascinated always by these things. Like, what caused this? why do we have this rule? Why do we not have this rule? What's, you know what I mean? Like, what are these rules for? So I'm going to start making a YouTube channel where I talk about interesting facts that I have learned over the years. You know what? Put this way out here. That looks more like it. And that'll give me enough of a wheel. But now I actually can call this a done wheel. I feel like it's still a little thin. It looks kind of like a tire off of some other thing, but at least now I can move it, right? And convert to mesh. There we go. Now that I've done that, I'm going to switch back to edit mode. Now it's an actual mesh, so I'll be able to select it all like a normal person. Probably should put the camera into naked mode here, otherwise we will never get this right. And then I will make this go wider until it looks like a real tire, right? Because see, that looks like a pretty mean operable tire there. That looks fine, right? And so there we've got a nice wheel. It's got a good feel to it and everything like that. And a couple of things I want to do before we move on. Go back into edit mode. I want to grab this part right here. Well, I don't even think I grabbed all of it, did I? No. Here we go. And realistically, I think I might actually want to grab all of this in here as well, because this is going to be the spindle that I will put the rest of the wheel on. So I need to make this a little bit bigger because I think I didn't quite grasp what I was doing with it. So this is the spindle where the wheel will attach. It won't matter inside what it looks like because it's going to be a completely different critter. But at least for right now, we kind of want the spindle to look somewhat different, right? So here we go. So we're going through here. The center spindle is all I need to select at this point because it's the wrong size. Nope. Very hard to grab all these pieces. Dang it. Ooh, that's very hard. I need to grab that center unit right there. There we go. And think about making this the center point of the turning section of the car. So I should have, because this needs to be pretty much level, like so, with the tire unit, which is right here. Oh, why is it crooked? Why? Why? All right, we'll do it this way. There we go. Right here, maybe? Okay. Oop. Thank you very much. Now, if I could just make it work, life would be good. Problem is, I'm not 100% sure I can make this. Well, next thing is, this is not a hubcap. It doesn't look good, so I wish to do this. Work. Just make it less pointy, like that. That should look good. There we go, much better. So, our front wheels on our car don't turn like this. They turn on a pivot point like this because they're in the suspension pieces. So I want to make a ball point that fits inside there where the pivot is against the wheels so that the wheels will turn a little bit different. So I need to think about where the pivot point on a wheel is. And generally, the pivot point's right inside the center of the wheel. So we're going to bring this pivot point. We need to come into a pivot point that's right about here. So I want to bring this back, because like that wasn't clear enough, to about here. I think that looks good. While in edit mode, I'll get a mesh and I'll add a cylinder. When I add this cylinder, it belongs now to this same model, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this cylinder to be my pivot point, just so that I can visually figure out where it is. So I'm going to take this cylinder and I'm going to, first of all, make it smaller. The word pivot, what it means is to twist around, right? So when we're talking about pivot points, I want a point through which this wheel will turn, right? So when you think of a tire, the tire, when it turns, right, the front wheels of the car will turn so that your car can go sideways or go this way. There's a point where it pivots, and on that pivot, it moves. So what we're doing here is just kind of building a point that I know is my pivot point. So when I build my suspension on these wheels, they don't have to, I can have a pivot point. Really, before I do this though, before I let go of this, let's do this important thing. Take this guy, go back to object mode, and we say duplicate. And the reason is because the back wheels don't need a pivot point, right? So copy and then paste the new paste data box, right? So this is a back tire. And this and is a front tire. Take the back tire, which lives here, and we'll move it away. We don't need to worry about it. And we can put it into edit mode and then select this and hit delete and hit delete all the vertices. Now the back tire doesn't have the pivot. The front tire, however, we will now go back into object mode, and we go into object mode and select you, and then we go into edit mode, and then we move this pivot back to where it's supposed to be. So there we go. All right, looking at the top, take this guy, move him in to maybe maybe here. I think that's where we are, is here. And then I will take this and extend this way so that we know that that's the pivot point. So if you look at this way, we have sort of a hinge, right? So a place where it bends back and forth. Now I'm going to make that the centroid of this tire so that it will always be there. I've thought about the idea of making the tires spin, and I don't think it's useful. You can't tell, really, you know? So I'm not going to mess with that. So now we've got that piece there. We don't have to worry about the back tires yet and stuff, but we'll get there. That piece is the hinge. So I'm going to then go from the top, and I'm going to grab the tire, whole tire, select it all. And what's happened is the center point is here. So we need to move it back here, and then we need to look at its center point. Oh, there's its center point right there, actually. So we'll put the center point right in the middle of that hinge. Right, so maybe this way? Now, that's the hinge point now, theoretically. There's the center dot. That center dot lives right there. This way, when I go into object mode and I say rotate, we go to the top, you'll notice that it rotates on the steering hinge, right? So now it's rotating on the hinge that belongs specifically to this tire, which is slightly in and out, right? And you can actually see it much better here. We can take this blue and turn it this way. See, it's kind of going, and that gives us the ability to turn the wheels. Okay. Now that we have that hinge, we have to build the other piece on the body so it doesn't look so weird. We don't have to worry about this be left front. So I'm going to actually double click this and say L front tire. That gives me the left front. And before I duplicate it again, I'm going to actually shrink these guys down so that they all fit. So now that I've done this, I'm going to put this in its spot around the car, and we're going to then shrink it down from here, because this is where it lives on the car. So I want to make sure it's small enough that it fits inside those wheel wells. Right, so let's go to the side, and wow, it's really hard to see through the other tire. There we go. So take this guy and do the same thing, except I can just line him up straight up like this. And once I do, I'm going to shrink him too. Because all cars pretty much always have the same sized wheels on all four tires, are generally the same size. So there we go. Put this here like so. We'll shrink it down a little bit more. Right there. There we go. And this is a back wheel, so it goes back here. It doesn't need to be that complicated. But now when we see it, now we see our car, which almost works, but this wheel needs to be in and go wee short, like so. Now when we look at the car, we've got a front and a back wheel, which looks adorable and fluffy and just the way it should. But these new wheels now, I should be able to take a null object and tie them to these wheels. If I can do that, life will be good. But I want to put the wheels on a suspension arm first, because one of the humorous things that you can do when you make little animations is make the car go boing, 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 boing on the wheels. So I'm going to make a suspension piece so that it can bounce up and down on the wheels. So boing, 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 you know, and it will look funny and it'll look cute and people will think it's silly, and that's fine. But now we've got these front and rear wheels. Now, the next question is, how do I make the suspension work? Or do I care? I may not need to do anything. Legitimately, that may not be something I need to worry about, right? Because the steering you won't see the steering very often. You'll see the car turning its wheels like this. But we really don't need a whole lot to go on here. I may need to build the null object. So I know this is kind of slow going. Sadly, I'm not experienced at building these things, so we're going to my group up. Thanks. Never mind. Okay, so I can make bones, but we can't make bones happen right away. So I'm going to have to, I need to make an object that connects the front wheels and tells them to point at a certain thing at the same time. So I kind of need to make something that looks like a horse and carriage yoke is what they're called. Yokes. The yoke's on us. R. All right. Okay, so we've got the right front tire. Right front will be the same as the left front, except on the other side of the vehicle. Oh, the tires aren't aligned properly either. Look at that. They're not. The back tire is kind of wonky. Just like that. There we go. So we're going to take the right front tire. We're going to move him over here. Then we're going to do something very strange. We're going to take this and we're going to bring him through and flip it 180 or flip it through. This is so that the tire still is aimed forward. Yes, I do. I do watercolors and acrylics sometimes. The only acrylics I really like doing is miniatures. I like doing miniatures. So I do acrylics from time to time. And would you like to see some of those? I can show those to you. All right, here we go. me see. I'll find you some artwork that I have done. It's in here. It just takes me a minute to get to it. Like this. A short video about watercolors, like how to use watercolors. I have another one in here. I just don't know where I put it. I put a lot of things in a lot of places. And I'm like, really? What am I doing? Really should be in there. He should be in there too. I'm not sure why I made this harder for myself. And I also do digital painting. This is not watercolors. This is all computer. But it's a digital painting. Actually, I've got a better version of that. That's not far enough along. That's like stopped somewhere. I didn't do all the work there. That's weird. Why do I have a half version? Yeah, because she really looks like this. That's my D&D character. So, but this is not painting. This is digital. So this is all here on my tablet. So there's that. I could do thank you. I could do a picture if you wanted of some sort, or I could do a painting tutorial if you wanted. That would be fine. But can I do it tomorrow? Because I know that this is not like the most interesting thing, but it's a job that needs to be done pretty soon. So I have to do this job, sadly. Well, I'm not sadly. I like this job quite a bit. So it's not a sadly thing. Not sad at all. Kind of like it. So. I'm suddenly having this thought process that maybe actually I do want all four tires to look the same. Because on the front wheels, we've got a pivot point, but I could make my little shock absorbers for that. Because nobody's going to see under the vehicle, so we're not going to see underneath it. So let's try, it was occurring to me that now that I've thought about this, maybe I should take the tire here and make a shock absorber. The reason I'm stopping now is because I'm trying to think about how to make the shock absorber work. I mean, realistically, I could just make it a wishbone underneath there, and it would hold the shock absorber on, and then you could just make the wishbone go up and down. But I don't really know if I want to make that many pieces. But I think whatever happens, the frame needs to be independent of the body of the vehicle and hinged on a sort of a hingy point, so that it does, because I think that keeping all of the wheels on the same piece will make it easier for me to do stuff. So we're going to do this. We're going to take the wheel and move it back here like that, and we're looking at the bottom of the vehicle now, and then I want to I'm just going to build a different piece. That's what's going to happen. It's going to look just like this suspension piece, and I'll just have a pivot point in the center, and it will hinge on the pivot point. Do I want independent suspension? I mean, will I ever do a video on independent suspension? I might. I really might. So if I were to do a video on independent suspension, that's fine. So what I will do, Chuan, is tomorrow I'll do watercolors for you. Tomorrow morning. Well, which will be tomorrow night for you. I'll do watercolors for you. Because I need to prep my station. On the other side of my office here, I have a station which I use for doing watercolors and painting. And Monday night, we made a miniature and painted it. So it's set up now for miniature painting, but it's not set up for watercolor. I'll have to do watercolor tomorrow. So that's why, if you will let me do it tomorrow, I will happily do the watercolor for you. It'll be fine. All right. I haven't seen Brent here today. Kind of wondering where Brent went. Hope Brent's okay. All right. So I've got the wheels in both sides of the vehicle. That's fine. We'll see you tomorrow, my friend. Good night. Sleep well. That's right. I'm still trying to figure out how to fix this. Okay, we got all 4 tires on. That's good. Car has tires again. It occurs to me that I don't need to show anything underneath there unless there happens to be a reason to show it. I could just make the bones work. Right? I mean, I don't need to. The bones don't need to specifically do something. They just need to be tied to a null. Other vehicles can also use invisible tracks, the links of a bicycle chain. The owner is always evaluated in the global world space. Its location, as shown in the transform panel, is used as an offset from its normal position on the path, e.g. Hey, Brent, we were just talking about you. As an offset from the normal position, e.g. if you have an owner with a 1.0, 1.0, 0.0 location, it will be 1 unit away from its normal position on the curve along the X and Y axis. Hence, if you want your owner on its target path, it's clear its location, Alt-G. This location offset is also proportionally affected by the scale of the target curve, taking the same 1.1.0 offset as above. The curve has a scale of 2.0, 1.0, 1.0. The owner will have an offset 2 units long. Oh God, I'm totally losing focus. Totally all right. I was just worried about you. But since you're not dead, we're good. I am trying to make my car's wheels follow a path. So one of the problems I was having when I used Daz Studio is making the car go around a corner. I literally had to take the car, move it around the corner like this, then rotate it, then bring it back to about halfway because it would do this number to go around the corner. And that's not right. I need it to look like it's following the path. Then I had to go through and manually adjust each and every frame until it looked roughly okay. But then it didn't look really good. And it occurs to me that having Daz as my animator may not be my best bet. And what I should do is just learn how to animate straight out of Blender, because that'll be a much more logical thing to do. So now what I'm trying to do is model straight out of Blender, and then make it so that I don't have to go to DAZ anymore. This is Blender. I'm in modeling mode. I don't know where you're seeing that this is not Blender, because this is definitely Blender. So, but I think I'm done trying to animate in DAZ. I don't think that's going to work as well anymore. I think what I want to do in Maya, I don't have Maya. My hope here is to say, look at what cool things I can do in Blender. All I need to do is learn the analog in Maya, and I'll be fine. Because I totally agree with you, but Maya is like a $2,000 program, and I don't have that. So there is sort of that problem. Because I agree with you. I don't have a problem with it. You're not wrong. Yeah, no, the first one, Maya, Maya. It's also, I don't think that that's an unreasonable ask. Looking for a job, saying, hey, I am totally okay with learning your software, but everybody knows that Maya is ridiculously expensive. And so I don't have that direct skill. So I am willing to learn it if you are willing to let me learn it. You know, I don't think that's a bad ask. When did I turn into a 50-year-old male? What? Are we? Are you talking about? Are you talking about art crumbs? And good guess on my age. Like, wow. I mean, one could argue that I have only been a 50-year-old male for about a year now. Before that, I was a 48-year-old male or 49-year-old male. Clapped. If you are looking for art crumbs, they'll be back. They don't usually do the day shows with me, but this is all part of the Quack program that we've been doing for a while now. You shouldn't have done that in edit mode. Let's fix that. This to be exactly on that one. Yeah. So all of us that are on the Quack channel, Brent is right. All of us who are part of the Quasar Art Collective, we all broadcast on each other's channels now. So Kat broadcasts Jackson broadcasts on mine, and I broadcast on theirs, and that works. And that is how you end up getting a 50-year-old male on here. In the mornings, Jackson has to work for their day job, so in the mornings it becomes a little bit harder for them to join the streams. Not impossible, just a little harder. But it's not like Jackson's not here. Jackson will be here tonight, generally speaking. So it shouldn't be a problem. My channel name is GS Davis Art. It says it up there. So if you go to, I will show you my channel name once I figure out how to get back up here. If you go up right here, that's my channel name right there. And you can find that spelled, or you can find that spelled. You can find that anywhere on Twitch or YouTube or any of the above. Originally, when Jackson was joining Quack, hi, you want up here? I'll give you scritches if you come up here. I was gonna say it's a lot of trilling and not a lot of doing. So Jackson has Miso, and I have George, who's a pest and like not doing what he's supposed to do. Anyway, so yeah, you can find my channel name up there. Do you want to be picked up? Is this your thing? Come here. Come here. Here. Hey, George. There we go. Yeah, that took a lot of effort. There we go. George will now visit for just a minute. This is my cat, George. He's a good cat, but somewhat of a pain sometimes. There we go. All right, now I can put you down for just a scritch. I do have a manga like Art Crumbs. Hang on real quick, and I will get that for you too. There we go. Here we go. There we go. Yes. So the manga that we all run, you can find all of those here. Cat's making God's Bane, and I'm making Bellatrix Rising. And then sometimes we'll see Can on here from time to time, but we don't see him right now because he's working. But he does Armageddon Divinity. You can find all of these in their various locations. And thank you. All right. Well, it looks about right. All right. I wanted to make sure that everything was centered properly here. We're going to make the suspension piece independent. Also, hey, Brent, I'm still getting a 404 on my website. I don't know if you've been out there and taken a look at it. I don't know if there's something I should say more specific. How am I doing that? Rear suspension. I don't know if I should say something more specific to them, because they seem to be very lost on my problems involving that. So I'm not sure what to say. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how I should maybe talk to them or say something to them so that it makes more sense. I'm not sure. Could do this the smart way. Behold, the center of this is not the center of the vehicle. Interesting. My thought was these tires know where the center is, right? Gotta go a little bit further south here. There we go. Now the tires are now aligned properly. We're going to take the suspension piece and move it back so that it's aligned correctly. Right, and then we'll take the rest of the vehicle and move it back so that it's aligned correctly. And this now makes it so that the vehicle is aligned with all 4 tires being in their correct location. That's at least a big deal. Okay, go underneath there. And we'll think of one more thing. So we'll go to the front. Let's for just a moment take the body off of this thing and look from the very, very front and see if I can pull a suspension piece out of the front of this. Right, so if I take the suspension and I say edit mode, and I look at sort of the nature of this sort of thing, maybe from the top. I don't know, maybe from the top. There we go. And now we have a differential-ish. That sounds reasonable to me. I'm totally on board with this. Let's not share everything problem on the web. So yeah, I'm good with that. We'll drive this one all the way to here. And this is just the armature, right? What doesn't really matter? Because this is the thing. I know that I called them and they said, yep, you're all fixed now. Everything is fine because I can see it. And I was like, okay, but I can't see it yet. And they were like, well, it may take a while for it to refresh. Well, now we're weeks later. And of course, I'm having a hard time right now just trying to get all of my stuff done. I've just got a lot going on in my world. So it's extraordinarily complicated. And I don't have the time to devote 5 or 6 hours to getting GoDaddy to figure out what the heck's going on with my site. So I want to try to figure out if there's a keyword that I can say to them. Your Burgleblat is broken, or whatever. Because that's an important thing. Everybody knows that Burgleblaps are a problem. Been a problem forever, certainly. Now, about 10 minutes until I've got to go to lunch. I guess I don't have to go to lunch, but I would like to go to lunch. I'm trying to decide certain things like, okay, that's fine. Let's just check here on this. No reason to not just duplicate and spin this. So do exactly that. A copy. Yeah, it's not accurate or whatever, but that's fine. Paste data blocks. I can just take this guy, do the same thing. I'll actually just call it front suspension. Where is it connected to? That's not good, people. That means that it's altered. Okay, that's what we're going to delete you now because we just screwed this up. So rear suspension, that's part of our problem right there. There's your problem right there. You're not connect to your pivot point. There we go. There. The underside of the vehicle. Put it back around. Hey, look at that. It connects perfectly to the front suspension pieces right up here. Isn't that nice? There we go. And now we have the complete suspension system underneath there. Pendant and able to move this way and this way, which will give us the ability to have four-wheel independent suspension if we ever need to use it for whatever reason. And I'll just run the bones from this center point on that. Hey, Ray. Ray, you showed up at like the last 5 minutes. I've only got 5 minutes left, which is all right. You're here often enough that you'll be here again. I don't feel so bad. How are things in your part of the world? Well, I'm hungry though, so that's the problem. Is I'm hungry. I want to go get food, and I have burritos downstairs for whenever I'm ready to go. So I've got these really good burritos that I made a couple of nights ago, and now I can just make more. It's so good. I love burritos. Same old, huh? Is it getting hot out there in your area too? I mean, because like we're starting to cool down a little. Like it's 23 right now, which is not bad. I mean, it could be far worse. And it has been far worse. But I know you're farther north than we are. So I was kind of, I guess not that much farther north though, because we're at the 40th parallel, and so we're 40 degrees north on the Earth. So I don't know how that fits over there. Just really hot, huh? Yeah. But it's been really hot here too. I mean, like we've had a lot of really hot weather, and it's just like, ugh. You know, so. Well, I feel like we've got a better vehicle now. Better looking than the predecessor, and that's good. Those wheels look a lot better, and since wheels are an important part of a car, now when we're in object mode, probably tie these together. Yeah, I figured Mongolia has a lot of really interesting and different weather, but it's also big. Like, it's a big area, and so you could get weather changes between both sides. So trying to decide some things, like, do I want to go on ahead and just cut so that oh, you're in a rain shadow, aren't you? That whole area is in a like a there's these areas called rain shadows where you have a lot of mountains, and then the mountains stop the weather from going over the mountains, and so you end up with a shadow sort of behind it where the weather doesn't get in. So you're in a rain shadow. We're on the other side of one of those here in Colorado because the weather usually goes toward our mountains here, but then Salt Lake ends up being sort of in our rain shadow. Right? That makes sense. Well, that's kind of cool. I'd been smart. I wouldn't have done these tires this way. I would have colored them before I did it. Dang it. I feel like I should delete the tires again. That's what I think. Yeah, I think so too. You got a lot of those. You got mountains in like Siberia and stuff like that that'll block all your rain. So you're in a rain shadow, which sounds cool, but it isn't whenever you're in that shadow. The name sounds neat, rain shadow, but I think you're right. It's not as fun to be in said rain shadow. So there is that. Nobody likes that part. Okay, we're at 11 o'clock, so I'm going to go on ahead and move on and go get lunch and stuff like that, and then come back here and kind of puzzle over this a little bit more when I get back. And then I guess I'll puzzle on it tonight because I've got to finish this out, but I think I probably should watch some YouTube videos first to figure out what I need to do here. So, thanks, Ray. I'll have a burrito for you. Well, maybe I won't, but I don't need to eat a whole bunch of extra burritos. But I'll think of you. There you go. I will think of you. That way. Yep. Goal for lunch is to have more sleep on your part, huh? That's fine. So I will bring this in just a little bit more there. A little bit less of a this discrepancy here. There we go. And then I'll do the rest of it. So I will see you all then tonight if you wish to join me, or tomorrow. at the same time. Again, our hours look like this. So there you go. The top row up here on the top of the map, that's the day show. And on the bottom of the map are the times for the night show. So in your area, you can put that wherever you want in your area. So there you go. Thank you all for joining me today. I appreciate it. It was nice having all of you on here, Ray, and having Brent and Clapped G. And of course, we had Chuan here earlier, but they went to sleep. So that was cool. And we had Booma, and we had Jong here for a little while, and Merrick. And boy, we actually had quite a few people here. We also had Donald here way earlier. I hope Donald's okay. So, but everybody is on their way to doing the things that they're doing. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I will see you tonight. And as always, keep your eyes on the stars. Good night.